Welcome, friends and bunny suit wearers, to the Info Hazard Podcast Show. I'm your host, David, here with my co-hosts, Phil and Big Dan.
Hello.
Welcome back. We've got a banger of an episode today. We should start with the big news. He is risen.
I think that's the good news, not the big news.
Sure, it's the good news. Anyway, happy Easter, everybody, or happy Tuesday after Easter. So, Danny, freaking kick it off. What's the big news?
So I think the big news this week is the Supreme Court finally stood up to Trump, and they blocked the deportations without due process. Apparently, some of the migrants were literally on the buses headed to be deported, and the Supreme Court issued a late night stay to block that. 7-2 with Alito and Thomas dissenting. The White House said that Donald Trump would stay the course in his immigration crackdown, but didn't say that they were immediately going to defy the Supreme Court. So no constitutional crisis just yet. They also said they're confident of the lawfulness of the administration's actions and in ultimately prevailing against an onslaught of meritless litigation brought by radical activists who care more about the rights of terrorist aliens than those of the American people. That was the White House press secretary.
I was thinking, which radical leftists brought this one? This is Abrego Garcia's lawyer?
No, this was the ACLU.
Oh. Yeah. Civil liberties, pretty radical left-wing stuff.
But the contempt charges are currently blocked by an appeals court, so no contempt charges yet for the administrations.
I did a little research on this. I watched Schindler's List last night. No, I mean, that's a little alarmist, I'm sure, but that CCOT, man, we discussed it last week, right? And I wasn't aware at the time, but no one's been released or until this last week when Abrego Garcia was transferred from CCOT to some other prison in El Salvador. So, baby steps, I guess. But someone officially has gotten out of CCOT now.
I guess
that's pretty good.
Did the senator go into CCOT to see him?
Senator Van Hollen?
Yeah, that's the guy.
That name? Okay.
Yep.
I think
that's maybe what all senators all the time should be doing, since, debate seems kind of pointless these days. They should just be going out and doing sort of vigilante justice.
Right, PR stunts with a purpose. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that was fairly helpful to see that the guy is still alive.
And it's a great use of your position and your power in a sort of unconventional way. Senators, it's not in the official job description, but it is something they can do with their time and their power. And it's great that he used it for good to go save someone from a concentration camp.
That's right. So Van Hollen gets the thumbs up. Yes?
Big thumbs up.
3 thumbs
up. Big seal of approval.
It's like Mean Girls, right? Just solid good.
Yeah.
It's a good movie.
Okay, I see.
I don't know why that's the example of a good movie that came to mind.
Well, we've just got 5-star movies on our mind, man. Mean Girls, Schindler's List.
Yeah. I was thinking this all seems much more cultural revolution than Nazis, but I can see the Nazi.
Yeah. I mean, as long as we're nitpicking fascism, I always thought of the Trump administration as more Mussolini than Hitler. It's very nitpicky, honestly.
I'll take it.
Personality-wise, too, this guy. Yeah. He's known for big hand gestures, being a super huge asshole.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yep.
Lots of things.
Right.
When he marched on Rome, January 6th, kind of the parallels are pretty apparent there.
Reflecting way more Mussolini knowledge than I have.
Yeah. Read up. It might be relevant.
There we go. Good, yes. nice calming stuff. Okay, that the constitutional crisis is temporarily averted, Dan.
Yeah.
Like what? I thought that we were in the middle of one, basically, with like where they had ordered the administration to facilitate Abrigo Garcia's return, and they just kind of like they're like, well, can you do anything? No, I can't do anything. Can you do anything? Well, I can't do anything. I guess can't do anything. That felt like pretty much flagrantly like disobeying the Supreme Court order to facilitate his return.
Well, because they just said they had to try, right? And so there was no like definition of what they actually had to try and do. They carefully left him out in case he did want to defy them, which he did, obviously.
No, you didn't. They didn't carefully leave that out. Like the judge said something along the lines of, "You guys are blatantly disregarding the dictionary definition of facilitate."
Right.
Like,
Facilitate is an active verb.
Yeah, like the ruling was given, they did whatever the hell they wanted, and then the judge gave further clarification and was still ignored.
Right, but you were saying that the contempt of court is paused right now?
Yeah. It was blocked by an appeals court. Cause so it was a lower court that issued the like initial rulings. Judge Boasberg. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Mm-hmm. I think I heard Boasberg. Let's go with that.
All right, sounds reasonable.
Do you know what reason they had to pause the contempt hearing?
I don't, actually. I just saw that like right before we went live, and I didn't have time to look into it.
All right, nice. Stumped him with the tough questions. But you're Googling it, aren't you?
I am. I'm working hard. Discuss amongst yourselves while I look it up.
Man, you've got like intense Google face.
Exactly. I was just admiring Danny's Google face.
No, please.
I got paywalled. Don't click on the New York Times. Okay, so they basically just delayed the contempt, and they're like, we need more time to make sure that the government has time to argue the case that they shouldn't be held in contempt.
That sounds like the legal system.
Yeah. Unless, of course, you're deporting people, then I guess, that can go ahead super quickly.
Yeah.
Although now it can't. Yeah.
Apparently not. All right, cool. So actually, this reminds me, I had a choice this weekend. The eventual choice that I went with was stay home. I'm a little bit embarrassed to say, but the choice was between two protests. One was protesting against the seizure and deportation of people without due process. The other one was against the oligarchy taking over. Which one should I have gone to?
The bigger one, I guess.
Yeah, whichever one is bigger. I don't know. I mean, they're kind of related. Like the oligarchy is taking over, and this is one of the things the billionaires running the government are doing. So, whichever, I don't know. Like
I would say the deportations are sort of a more urgent issue, though. The oligarchy is sort of a slow creeping thing.
It's also a specific demand you can make, which definitely helps with a protest. I mean, there's more things that you can do than just, protest or vote, which I hope to get into a little bit later in the episode. But
right.
But I think that helps when you're doing a protest to have a specific demand that can be fulfilled by the party you're protesting against.
So I do have some specific demands. This is, I think, a good segue into another segment I had planned. There's one kind of demand that I have related to the oligarchy, which I know just sounds crazy, but that is to tax rich people more. For example, with a wealth tax, which somehow seems to not be within the Overton window in this country, right? Kamala had proposed taxing unrealized capital gains. The reaction was similar to the reaction to Trump's tariffs from the moneyed class. So I was just wondering, I thought it'd be a fun game to have you guys like...
Well, they had their chance. We've done it their way. Now we flip it around. Let's try taking their shit and see how, see if we can make the S&P 500 do something else. It's already plummeting. What are we going to do? Make it plummet faster?
Here's the idea. I'm going to present bullshit, disingenuous arguments against the wealth tax, and in 0 seconds, I need you to debunk them. Probably we should make Phil do it in 0 seconds, and Danny can wait until Phil finishes, because Because Danny's the thoughtful one. Anyway.
That's the order of operations. Yeah. No, I'll have something to say, and then Danny can think about it and then say something.
Phil will stall. Will flap his mouth. All right. Are you guys ready?
Shoot.
So ready.
All right. Bullshit argument against a wealth tax. It will destroy innovation. Phil.
Okay, you qualified it as a bullshit argument, so you can disregard freely. Okay, got that one out of the way. I wasn't even listening, so try it again.
All right. A wealth tax is a bad idea because it will destroy innovation.
People already get taxed on making money off innovation, and they haven't stopped innovating yet.
Innovation is inherently something that generates profits, because if you are innovating, you are gonna be able to make money off of it, and taking a percentage of that is not going to stop people from wanting to make that money.
All right. I give Danny an A-, mostly for calling out hypocrisy. To me, it was like it glanced the nail. It wasn't like hitting the nail on the head. Phil, obviously an A+ for style, mostly. All right. Number 2, it's too complicated to calculate wealth. Phil.
I don't know. Forbes lying dead in a ditch, apparently. We can't calculate wealth, but we can brag about it to the whole goddamn world. It's like, what do you mean? Hey, I'm okay being off by a couple of percentage points as long as that money gets to people who need it.
All right, Danny.
I mean, I'm sure if they ask their accountant how much they're worth, they can get an answer.
All right, so it's just basically so that one truly is bullshit. In other words.
Yeah, I mean, I love the premise of this.
Right. I think my response was like, okay, yeah, it could be hard, so do it anyway.
Yeah. I mean, the only reason why we have the tax system we do is because TurboTax et al. Lobbies to make it so the government doesn't just charge us and then we pay the money. Like, most countries do it that way. It's like, here's what you owe, and you can argue with them, or you can just pay.
Yeah, are you saying you don't enjoy the guessing game? The guess how much you owe, and we'll tell you if you're wrong.
I really enjoyed.
That's the part I don't enjoy. Is guess, like, we know how much you owe. We won't tell you. If you guess wrong, you'll pay more money.
And actually, either way, if you guess too much, then we'll just accept it, and if you guess too little, then we'll wait 3 years, make you do a bunch more paperwork, and then we'll collect with interest.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we all love paying taxes. It's true. I guess that makes sense why rich people don't want to do it either.
Yeah.
All right, here's another one. It's envy politics. Sorry, a wealth tax is a bad idea because it's just envy politics.
Well, I think Just is doing a lot of work in that particular setup. We're just jealous. And it's like, yeah, I'm sure, people are jealous of people who make more money than them. But also, those people made that money by exploiting the vast majority of the other people in the country, and they're not paying their fair share. So they need to pay more of it and improve the lives of the people who don't have the same level of wealth and power that they do.
All right, Dan, do you have a response, and can you fit within the one-sentence limit?
Ooh. So regardless of one
sentence limit. Were we on a one sentence limit? That's like, run-ons are my secret weapon for this.
Semicolon.
Semicolon, hyphen, M-.
Sorry, go ahead, Danny.
All right. So regardless of whether one of the 7 deadly sins is involved, I still think it's like a good policy for other reasons, such as that wealth inequality is bad for everybody in the entire society.
Yeah, 7 deadly sins are like the foundation of our government. Are you not proud to be an American? Are you not slothful?
Lusting for freedom?
Lusting for freedom.
Okay, got it. I'm lusting for freedom. Yeah, definitely.
Hell yeah.
I'm glad. I think in America we've all been gluttons for freedom.
Yeah.
Okay, I have one more. Oh, the wealth tax is a bad idea because it's double taxation.
I mean, we already get double taxed in lots of ways, right? You get taxed on your income and then you pay sales tax. That's double taxation.
Yeah, we double and triple tax, and then the person who you paid, they pay tax on it, and then their employees pay tax on it.
It has never been it has never stopped us in the past. We just keep doing it.
All right. So, in conclusion, how do we feel about bullshit arguments?
I feel like it's a little silly to erect these sort of straw men, but it does illustrate some interesting points the other side. But it might help, though, if we, kind of got more like an active participant in this.
Yeah,
I actually...
let's get Elon Musk on here to defend his view here.
Well, no, I got a guy over here. Let me just see if I can get him to sort of... You give the arguments to him, and because he is pretty against a wealth tax, and
Okay.
If you could
I'm
kind of
really curious to see
try to convince my friend over here, I've been trying for a long time, so let me get him over here.
Take it straight to the people.
What's up, motherfuckers?
Oh my goodness.
Hello.
It's Rick.
Would you like to introduce yourself to the audience?
Name's Rick Target. I'm the target audience. Just thought you should know that you're never gonna take my wealth, so don't even think about it. Jerks.
So when you buy things and you pay sales tax, are we taking your wealth?
I mean, I don't really believe in sales tax, so you're using something against me that I'm already against. I say no sales tax.
So, do you believe in taxes at all, Mr. Target?
No, not really. I think there shouldn't be taxes.
So, how would you pay for things like, say, the military? I assume you're in favor of the military.
Well, I mean, this is a law and order kind of country.
Right, so you need to pay judges and police officers in the military, right? These are all government paid for by taxes.
Gotta get paid. It's not communist Russia.
So where should that money come from?
Well, I think, we should be running the government like a business. They're providing a service. We pay them, the service of protection. Kind of like a mafia. So I imagine that we don't have taxes necessarily, but the army can come around and collect what they need from the people.
An interesting position.
That's a really good idea, Rick. Man, you should run for Congress.
Thanks.
And what do you think would stop the military from just taking as much as they wanted?
Well, they're patriots.
Just what they need.
They're patriots. They wouldn't just do that.
So their morals will stop them from doing that.
Well, America and patriotism.
Good, that's an excellent system of checks and balances. I'm sure that would work out really well. So who do you think so when they're going around taking stuff from people to pay for their salaries, who should they take more stuff from? Should they take stuff from like a homeless guy who just has his shopping cart and a tent? Should they take
Well, they
his
should just
shopping
take
cart?
evenly from everyone,
Okay, so
You gotta make it fair.
Okay, so if somebody has zero money, then what can they take from that person?
Well, if they don't have money, they gotta get out of the country, I guess. I don't know. Well, what are they doing? Bunch of freeloaders, I say.
I was thinking, because when you said they should go around and take people's stuff, that actually sounds like a wealth tax.
Excuse me for one moment. Oh no, he ran away!
Damn.
You've defeated him. You defeated the audience.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Rick, insightful as ever.
Yeah.
I'm sure we've changed a lot of minds here by presenting both sides of the argument here.
Yeah, at least we didn't resort to any sort of any logical fallacies.
Yeah, no cheap mockery.
No cheap mockery, no straw men of any kind.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I've found with this debate, okay, fine. I even framed it as BS BS arguments. You can see how I feel about them. But I mean, the public discourse around this topic is really pathetic. It's not even treated like a realistic possibility, which is crazy. Because because it makes so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's not crazy if you realize that okay, it's just like super wealthy people who own the media, and so they don't want to talk about it. And like whenever it comes up, they shout them down with one of these things, and it's just like really that doesn't even make sense.
There's like an emotional appeal to not wanting more taxes. I think any sort of mention of any taxes at all has a certain subset of the population just saying no, no, even if it doesn't directly affect them or would materially improve their lives to have that money redistributed to their own personal interests.
There's that, and like big government.
I
Yeah,
think there's a famous quote by Steinbeck that's socialism never took root in America because the poor see themselves not as an exploited proletariat, but as temporarily embarrassed millionaires. So, they don't want a wealth tax because when they become rich, they don't want to be taxed on their vast wealth, which I do think is sort of a fair way to look at sort of the common American to some extent. A small correction here. Apparently, it wasn't Steinbeck. It comes from a book called A Short History of Progress by Ronald Wright.
that's funny because I also thought that was a Steinbeck quote. I
There
love
we
that
go.
Steinbeck quote where he's like, "Ugh, these grapes, ugh, so wrathful, gross."
Or the other famous Steinbeck quote, "Beware the Ides of March." He really said it all.
My kingdom for a horse. My only regret is that I have one life to give for these wrathful grapes.
A grape by any other name would be as wrathful.
Oh, we're getting a little off topic here. And we lost David, so... Oh, he's back.
Grapes, I am your father.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
All right, well, let's ride this segue into our next segment. The transport of the future, after all.
Can't believe
Do it,
the
Phil.
creator of the Segway died by going off a cliff on the Segway. That's just like gonna be one of those like trivia pieces preserved in all of eternity. Like long after people forget that Segways existed. There's this wacky creation like you might not have heard about. 10 fun facts about transportation history of the past. That,
It'll be like one of those videos of like the flying machines that didn't work, right? Like with the big umbrella that goes up and down.
exactly.
Wait, he drove a Segway off a cliff.
Yep.
All right, and with that, Phil.
So, anyways, as I was saying earlier, protesting is great, but can't protest all the time. And you might be constantly filled with rage. So, if you want to channel that towards something productive, I found this list of actions that are not protesting or voting.
Besides masturbation.
I think the idea is that they're pro-social activities, but you can. I'm looking down the list here, and yeah, I think you can jerk it while doing a lot of these.
That's just where I thought you were supposed to channel your rage.
Yeah.
Okay, wait,
Big
where's the
one.
list?
Is mutual aid. Now, are you guys familiar with mutual aid as a concept?
Lightly so. Why don't you tell our viewers, just in case?
So mutual aid, it's building dual power, right? I think for a lot of people in the last couple of years, it has been made abundantly apparent that the state is not always going to be on your side. So if you're feeling sad and mad and anxious about that, one great thing you can do for yourself and your community is join or start a mutual aid organization. This is just a broad term for a community group where you get together and you find out things that you need or they can help with, or that things that you can do that would help the community. It's just shoring up the little vulnerabilities in your life. Oftentimes it's like you're preparing for emergencies, like you can have a mutual aid organization around. It's like basically acts as like a unemployment support. We're coming into an unstable job market probably pretty soon, with the Trump tariffs tanking the economy. First thing to go will probably be a lot of people's jobs, as we saw in the 2008 financial crisis. So there's not going to be as much of a social safety net. So we'll need some more, help from community organizations.
Okay, so is the idea, I think that of what I just heard was like having like a local unemployment substitute, basically.
Yeah.
Sounds expensive.
So what would be some concrete actions that this organization might take?
Oh, well, it can be expensive. It would certainly be expensive for one person to fund, rent assistance or grocery assistance for one person. But you got enough people pitching in a little bit here and there, you can help your friends and neighbors get by until they can get another source of income. Or maybe you don't make it. Like you do what you can. This is not like a silver bullet. This is just something you can do to help. There's emergency preparedness stuff that you could do together. We're all coastal elites. Maybe there's a tsunami that we anticipate, or an earthquake. Like get together with your neighbors, make sure people have their kits. Like food, water, blankets, stuff like that. Like a meetup point. Just get together and get that sort of stuff sorted. Go ahead.
One thing, I've had a similar, or a drive. I've never heard of the term of the mutual aid before, but national politics just like gobbles up all the attention, and you just feel so depressed and hopeless about it all. But like there are things in your own neighborhood, in your own home, that you can do to make yourself more resilient and to actually have an impact. I think that makes a lot of sense, and it just seems like a very constructive way to channel your energy. I thought you were gonna say like community gardening, like
That's
it has
another.
a little.
That's another one. That's another great thing you can do. Here in Santa Cruz, we have this organization called the Homeless Garden Project, and they have a store downtown. It's a cool little project. They work together with the local homeless shelter, and they have people grow food and herbs and things, and nice smelling things for potpourri.
I mean, if anyone in my neighborhood watches and knows how to like keep an avocado tree alive, come talk to me, because I've definitely that was my failed neighborhood resilience project. It's like counteract the effects of tariffs on Mexican agricultural imports by drowning myself in homegrown avocados. But no, the tree is dead, so better luck next time.
So perhaps a more physically active example is back in the Great Depression when they tried to foreclose on farms. All the neighbors would get together and beat up the foreclosure agent and prevent it.
Okay. I'm not going to advocate that, but it is an interesting example from history.
Yes. We do not advocate any violence here.
One non-violent thing you can do along those lines is you could join a tenants union. The idea of a tenants union is you get together with the renters from your area, and when it's time for your landlord to do the yearly rent increase, you can get together with your tenants union and kind of compare the rates. It's like, hey, these guys over here are only getting a 2% increase and you're jacking it up by 10. Maybe you learn a little bit something about what the law says that you can actually do in terms of rent increases.
Even just negotiating from like with some knowledge makes a big difference. Like
some knowledge, some
knowing like this is a normal rate increase versus like this is exorbitant.
Even just some verbal support, just someone else sticking up for you. It helps immensely. This is a long list, by the way, and I'll link it in the episode description. And there's some stuff on here that I love the idea of, but I would really struggle to see actually happen. There's a childcare collective idea. Sounds great, because childcare, I think David, is very expensive. If you can build up the trust with your neighbors and they're interested in like watching your kids for a little bit, that would be a huge way to help out.
Yeah, I think for like but for a lot of the coastal elites, we've moved around. It's like we didn't grow up where we are. Maybe our parents don't live with us. If you have kids, like this resource that people have always had of family nearby to help with their kids, and like a well-established community just isn't there for renters who move once a year. I moved every year for through my 20s. I never knew my neighbors. I think it's really important for people to get to know their neighbors. It might take a while before you're comfortable leaving your kids with them. Oh my God! Like if you're a parent, like you need a little bit of relief. You need some help. So yeah, I'm all for that.
Think about like the skills that you have and just kind of like push that out into the community. You can fix stuff. You can start what's known as a repair cafe. Basically just offer up your services to fix people's stuff. Simple enough. You got a bunch of tools lying around. You could make a tool library and just lend out tools to people who need them. Save some people some money.
I have a table saw. I'm not sure I'd be comfortable just like lending my table saw to any old person.
Fair enough. I mean, it's not for everyone. I wouldn't suggest doing everything on this list. Just help out where you can, what you feel comfortable with.
If anyone's got a broken operating system kernel, dude, just let me know. I can get on that.
Captain Linux to the rescue.
Yeah. Well, so are there any more of these that are like real standouts to you, Phil? Because this relates to the one other thing I was going to talk about.
Why don't I'll skip to the end here. I thought this one, like, way down the bottom is just really sweet. Like, just writing letters to an elderly pen pal. I don't know. That's nice. Like, you don't really need to do anything other than be able to write and get in contact with someone. And it can be very lonely, living in a retirement home. And that's not going to overthrow the regime that you're under, but it's going to positively impact someone's life. And sometimes that's all you really need to feel a little better about yourself.
Much more achievable than overthrowing the government.
Yeah.
Right.
Probably less violent as well.
Yeah.
No rivers of blood.
A good starting point to get you out the door and on the path towards, maybe something a little bit more impactful.
And to like rebuild the binds between neighbors. I think it's very disturbing the way that the fear and dislike the current two sides seem to have for each other. Seems incredibly toxic and important to heal.
Yeah.
Even though they're wrong about everything.
I guess if you wanted to stretch the impact of just writing letters to the elderly, like historically, the older generations are more conservative than the younger generations. So building some empathy across generational lines might change the voting dynamics of those people.
Oh, I thought we were just going to bring up the fact that all the politicians are old people.
Yeah. Maybe the geriatric individual you write to is your senator.
Also, we haven't mentioned our favorite letter writer yet this episode, Phil. Ted Kaczynski.
Oh my God.
He's gotten a shout out in every previous episode, so it's the perfect time to shoehorn him in, dude.
Yeah.
There was a man who started to...
famous letter writing.
Is Oklahoma City bomber? Is that him? Or
no, Unabomber.
No.
He's the Unabomber.
He's the Unabomber, yeah.
Okay. Great. We have a mascot. That's good. That's just like one of those things you need to knock out when you're starting a podcast.
Yeah, we should change our logo to just be the Unabomber.
Speaking of info hazards, I was reading up on him, and he got caught because so there's the phrase like have your cake and eat it too, and he didn't like that was the wrong order because it doesn't like make it as clear, and so he always said eat
your cake and have it too.
Yes. And so he sent that in one of his letters, and his brother recognized that was his phrase, and that's how he got caught. Just like the guy with the purple pissing Japanese, Robert Hansen.
Yeah, I was thinking like Does everyone get caught because of a catchphrase?
It's starting to seem like that. Just don't ever use catchphrases if you're up to no good.
Where's the panache, though? Come on.
I know, it's so much cooler when you're up to mischief if you just like drop
It's
that
like you don't
catchphrase.
even want our domestic terrorists to live a little, you know?
Speaking of community resilience stuff, I'm in the LA area, and I just realized that well, I recently just from my friends and acquaintances have been hearing some updates on the recovery from the fires recently, and yeah, I mean, I think this was all big news when there were big fires gobbling up houses, but it's so yesterday. Anyway, I thought I would just share a couple of updates with you guys in case you were curious. So yes, all the houses are still burned down, big piles of ash. Actually, just last week was this deadline to either like opt out, or basically to opt out of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers coming to help get rid of the debris on your lot if you were a homeowner whose house is now a debris-filled lot.
Wait, so it's opt out, so they're just going to show up and cart your shit away unless you tell them not to?
Yes.
Interesting.
I'm pretty sure that that's like just universally the thing you would want. I think they've had a chance to go and access their lot. So like if you had a safe full of jewelry that somehow didn't melt, well, you know, you can go and see it and you could take that. But for the most part, this is just like super toxic, charred wasteland, and you want nothing to do with it. The first building permit was issued in the Palisades recently, so at least one person is rebuilding. I know some family friends whose house burned down in the Palisades. They don't think they're going to be rebuilding. They think they're going to move somewhere else in the LA area. They're like 75 years old, and they're like, even if they build their house in 2 years, like the neighborhood, it's going to take a while for the neighborhood to come back. It's going to take a very long time. 10 years.
How would they feel about receiving a letter?
A letter?
Yeah, we were talking about writing letters to the elderly.
I mean, these are, you know, there's some people, you know, they're set in their 70s. They're not lonely, and I don't think that they would characterize themselves as elderly. I don't know how they would feel about an anonymous letter or a letter from someone they don't know expressing pity. I don't think they feel sorry for themselves. Like, or you know, I mean, okay, I guess they're pretty upset. This is the house they grew up in.
I'll send them an anonymous letter. I'll cut out letters from magazines.
Yes, just threaten to bomb their house.
Yeah.
Yeah, another family I know, they live in Pasadena. They were blocks away from where the Altadena fire reached. And their house, they obviously had to evacuate, but also their house was covered in ash. And so there's been some like cleaning going, some like abatement process. And they're actually like just recently able to move back in. They're moving back in, but I think what's going on is that like some parts of the house are can't not usable because of this, and so they're gonna get some work done. So they're gonna do some replace a room kind of a thing. In short, it's gonna be a long process. You know, single houses don't get built overnight, and like whole communities don't get rebuilt overnight.
The underlying problem doesn't go away.
That's true, you know. So I was thinking about like, you know, the government response, right? Like I didn't pay so much attention at the time, and I know like the mayor and the fire chief were bickering at each other, and the fire chief got fired. And you know, they all
Hold for
had their
applause.
complaints.
Fire chief got fired.
Yes, exactly. Good. Phil gets it. But yeah, I don't think like climate change hasn't been fixed. The Santa Ana winds aren't going away. Oh yeah, by the way, my house is all better. The solar panel got knocked off the roof, and another part of my roof got torn up by the wind, and a fence got knocked down. Had all that fixed within a couple weeks. But yeah, climate change not fixed, and so I mean, it seems like locally there are lots of local efforts to use more renewable energy, but LA County can't fix that problem. There are some interesting lawsuits underway. It basically seems like Southern California Edison, they don't seem to be disputing it, that apparently one of their towers, a tower that was supposed to be turned off, like not even used anymore, just like lit the Eaton fire, the one in Altadena. So yeah, they're being sued by LA County. LA Department of Water and Power is being sued for having had a reservoir sit empty in the Palisades for over a year, for like a year.
They're getting sued for having an empty reservoir?
Yeah, the water, an empty reservoir that would have been contributing water to fight the fire. So in the Palisades fire, like they actually ran into like water pressure issues because they were using up the water so fast. But supposedly, if this reservoir had been filled,
So is this like back in the old days, like our shaman didn't do the rain dance correctly, so now we're going to sacrifice him to the gods of the legal system?
I don't think that this reservoir was empty because of drought. This was empty because of a repair that had been dragged out.
Okay, that makes more sense.
So yeah, I mean, water supply issues probably are related. I mean, it was super droughty conditions all winter, so that clearly contributed to the combustible situation. No, it's just, I mean, it's both no surprise that like utilities appear to have been negligent in ways that contributed to massive wildfires, and it's also no surprise that whether or not they were negligent, they're being sued. So yeah, that's another thing that'll presumably also take years to shake out. But yeah, on the personal front, people are rebuilding, and the place will never be the same again.
What are your takeaways, man? What do you think about all this?
Climate change obviously makes me angry. The like fundamental issue of our failure as a species to act collectively in our collective interests will be our downfall if we don't fix it. And yeah, these utilities piss me off too. Like this was like a tower, like this tower. I mean, a dozen people died. Like I know people who lost their house in that fire.
Right.
Like, they had a tower on that was not even used anymore. Like I was out walking the week before, and I was like, man, it is gorgeous out. This is not how the weather is supposed to be in the middle of winter. Like this is super like this is a big fire hazard. Like if that occurs to me, like it should probably occur to the utility. And so anyway, it's an embarrassment, but it's like they seem to be pathetic by design, like inept by design. So that makes me angry, and yeah, I generally am furious about our utilities. Yeah, so I don't know what's the takeaway. Is I'm angry, but the takeaway is as I'm thinking about it, like, okay, what's the answer with these damned utilities?
Public-owned utilities instead of for-profit utilities, in my humble opinion, in my arrogant opinion as well.
Do those do better? Like, are they? I mean,
it's just not something that, like, you gain the efficiency from privatization. I don't think.
You can't have competition. It's not like you can have seven separate sets of wires traveling around the county.
And California also historically has had huge problems with our energy companies and the utilities. Was that like historic, like, fraud company Enron? Enron made a lot of their money like bilking the California customers for surge pricing. Like they made so much money off of California that they got the governor kicked out of office. I feel like someone should make the case to me that there's any point to having these be private. Like these should have been seized by the governor, like the next governor after Gray Davis, which I guess would have been Schwarzenegger. Just pretty funny. He could have done it.
Yeah, it would have been.
That's something he
badass
could have gotten away with. Yeah, just like knock down the
Give me
offices
the
of it.
utility.
Yeah.
Wait. Should we all do? Should we all have a quick Arnold Schwarzenegger impression contest? Who can do the best impression of Schwarzenegger nationalizing the utilities?
It's not nationalizing it. I mean,
California to statizing. I mean,
statizing it.
Statizing.
Give me your Department of Water and Power. We need to fill the reservoir.
It's not a transformer.
Danny.
yeah, I got nothing actually. All right, here we go. Okay, here we go.
I'm romantically involved with my maid.
With his what?
His maid. His son.
Oh,
He
okay.
has his son with his maid.
But that's not the government whatever.
Just they're just Schwarzenegger things. It's more fun.
Okay,
We don't have to tie it back.
This is not a transformer, and I love my maid.
I love my maid.
Okay.
I did not have
Danny,
sexual relations with that woman. I just got more generically. I kind of slipped into Henry Kissinger.
Schwarzenegger doing his Bill Clinton impression.
Yeah. It's like the midpoint between them. He's like traveling from Austria and stopping off in Germany.
I am here to tell you that this will now be Schwarzenegger gas and electric.
Yay! You did
Not
it.
bad, Danny. I knew you had it in you. Cool. Yeah, well, whatever the opposite of privatized is. Publicized.
I mean, it is nationalized, but I guess it doesn't work if it's not a nation.
Stationalized.
Statenalized. Statins.
Oh, statenalized.
Time to try out for like a Bee Gees cover band.
I know, that was beautiful. You almost couldn't tell it wasn't them right there.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah. Speaking of nationalizing, you got a wealth tax, right? So this is something that the Trump administration would never, ever, 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 ever do because they serve exclusively the billionaire class. If there was that wealth tax and the money went to their administration, that would be bad, right? They would just have more funds to do more evil things.
They don't seem to really be like spending a lot of money on their evil things, right?
Well, they increased the defense budget. So,
I mean, that's
depending on
not-
what you think of the U.S. military.
I mean, that's not particularly evil.
Well,
I mean, they raised it by like a fraction of a percent, right?
Plus, I guess they're paying El Salvador to keep people in prison forever. That seems bad.
they're also just like extremely corrupt. Like I wouldn't be surprised if after all of this nonsense with like the Department of Government Efficiency that we end up increasing the national deficit just
Right,
to
the
like
fraud, waste, and abuse.
kickbacks, to
Right.
conservative politicians.
Yeah, I mean, so right, it's I think the point of like raising taxes if it's not being spent well, like it would be better to just cut the spending than raise taxes. But like even just given, we currently have taxes, and they're going to be spending them however it is they're going to be spending them, and so I'd rather they got the taxes if they could collect that same amount of taxes through a more progressive means. I would prefer that no matter what it is they're spending it on,
Yeah.
even if it's all just to like put like gold cherubs in the West Wing.
Yeah. It's like you don't want that money going to something like the military. We're far, far above and beyond our needs for anything but imperial domination when it comes to a military budget. But like in my mind, when I think like why it would be better to have taxes, I always think trains. That's kind of like where I start. Like something that we want but never seem to have the money for, or just gets frittered away on lawsuits. You know. I don't know. Is that what you guys think of when it's like if the government had more money, they would do X?
Well, no, I mean, like, because, like, no, I mean, the government just goes into debt. Like, they're doing it. How much money they have doesn't really affect what they do. I mean, it does, obviously, but it's like a macroeconomic thing over time, right?
Sure.
Like, having a huge debt is not in our economic interests, and so the first impact that raising a wealth tax, just like if you were to just add a wealth tax on top of all the other taxes that we have, the impacts to our government would mostly be that we would cut into the deficit and hopefully turn it into a surplus and pay down the debt some. But also, I would hope that this wouldn't just be strictly additive. Like, I would think that it should be also, like Matt implemented, along with cuts to really regressive taxes.
Yeah.
So, what's the right amount of that? I would be happy to just. I mean, another effect of this, was I think this macroeconomic effect of well, if you're taxing people on their assets, on their wealth, then they're going to have to start selling assets, and asset prices could go down, and housing could become more affordable, and the stock market could be less of a bubble, and so there could be some things that on graphs look bad. Like number go down. We only like when number go up, but so I would expect that kind of an impact in the short term.
Yeah. People like housing prices to go up, but they want more affordable housing.
Seems like a real have your cake and eat it too situation.
Or eat your cake and have it too.
Oh, no, it's too distinctive. I would never say it like that.
He's learned. He's not going to get caught this time.
Danny is the right. So Christ has risen, and also the Unabomber has risen. Big Dan is back. And
no way, man. All of our political violence today is farcical. It's like a perfect example of why it's a terrible idea, dude. Like, think of the guy who tried to assassinate Trump. Like, he empowered Trump. He killed some random innocent guy, and accomplished nothing.
Yep. Not in favor of that. All right, so I feel like that's an episode. I feel like we ought to call it a wrap. Is that how they say that?
I don't know. You're the one who lives in LA, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wrap it up.
It's a Rap Master's delight.
All right, who wants to say the like and subscribe this time?
Oh God.
With enthusiasm.
Everyone already knows.
They don't know. You got to tell them.
You gotta smash that like. Hit the bell, subscribe, gauge, take your computer, put us on the screen, and run screaming through the streets saying, I have the answer that you're looking for. Please, please.
It's on the InfoHazard podcast show. Go watch it right now.
And we'll see you next week. Or you'll see us. I think that's how it works.
No, we're watching them through their computers.
Right. We'll see you again next week on the InfoHazard podcast show, where the only deficit we're running is an attention deficit.
Yeah. Bye.